The rugged mountains and fertile valleys of Sinaloa, Mexico, have long been a hub for the cultivation of opium poppies and marijuana. This region's unique geography, with its isolated and hard-to-reach areas, has made it an ideal location for illicit farming. This region became the birthplace of the Sinaloa Cartel in the late 1980s. The cartel's formation marked a significant shift in the drug trade landscape of Mexico. The cartel's origins can be traced back to the Guadalajara cartel, which fragmented after the arrest of its leader, Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo. This fragmentation created a power vacuum that the Sinaloa cartel quickly moved to fill. From these ashes, the Sinaloa cartel rose to prominence. It capitalized on the disarray left by the Guadalajara cartel's collapse, establishing itself as a dominant force in the drug trade. Its strategic location in Sinaloa provided direct access to the United States, the world's largest consumer of illegal drugs. This proximity was a crucial factor in the cartel's rapid growth and success. This geographical advantage allowed the cartel to establish sophisticated smuggling routes and networks. These routes were meticulously planned and executed, ensuring a steady flow of drugs into the United States. The cartel's early years were marked by violence as it battled rival groups for control of lucrative drug trafficking corridors. These violent confrontations were a testament to the high stakes involved in the drug trade. Sinaloa, with its long history of drug production, offered the perfect environment for a powerful criminal organization to take root. The region's established infrastructure for drug cultivation was a significant asset for the cartel. The cartel exploited this, forging alliances with local farmers and corrupt officials. These alliances were mutually beneficial, providing the cartel with resources and protection while offering farmers and officials financial incentives. This ensured a steady supply of drugs and protection from law enforcement. The cartel's ability to operate with impunity was a key factor in its success. The cartel's influence permeated the region, corrupting local governments and terrorizing communities. This widespread corruption and fear allowed the cartel to maintain control and expand its operations. The Sinaloa cartel's rise was not solely due to its location. Other factors, including its leadership and strategic decisions, played crucial roles. The cartel's leadership played a crucial role in its ascendancy. Figures like Joaquin El Chapo Guzman and Ismael El Mayo Zambada were instrumental in shaping the cartel's strategies and operations. Ruthless ambition and strategic cunning set these figures apart. Their ability to outmaneuver rivals and law enforcement was a testament to their leadership skills. They would transform a regional trafficking operation into a global criminal powerhouse. Joaquin Guzman Loera, better known as El Chapo or Shorty, emerged from the drug fields of Sinaloa to become the cartel's most infamous leader. His name would become synonymous with the brutal and lucrative world of drug trafficking. His journey began in the small village of La Tuna, where he was exposed to the drug trade at an early age. Growing up in poverty, the allure of quick money and power was irresistible. El Chapo's rise was meteoric. From humble beginnings, he quickly learned the ropes of the drug trade, showing a natural talent for the business. He quickly rose through the ranks of the Guadalajara cartel, earning a reputation for his ruthlessness and business acumen. His ability to navigate the treacherous waters of cartel politics set him apart. After the cartel's fragmentation, El Chapo seized the opportunity to establish his own faction, which would eventually evolve into the Sinaloa cartel. This move marked the beginning of his reign. El Chapo's leadership was defined by his strategic brilliance and his penchant for extreme violence. He was a master tactician, always staying one step ahead of his enemies. He understood the importance of logistics. Efficient transportation and distribution were key to maintaining the cartel's dominance. Under his command, the cartel built sophisticated tunnels and employed innovative methods to smuggle drugs into the United States. These tunnels were engineering marvels, stretching for miles underground. These methods included everything from fishing boats to private planes. Each method was meticulously planned to evade law enforcement. This ensured a steady flow of narcotics and billions of dollars in profits. The cartel's financial empire grew exponentially under his leadership. However, El Chapo's ruthlessness was equally instrumental in his rise to power. He was known for his brutal tactics, often ordering executions to eliminate threats. He was notorious for eliminating rivals and consolidating his control over trafficking routes. His iron-fisted approach left no room for dissent. His brutality instilled fear and loyalty, making him a formidable force in the underworld. Those who crossed him often met a grisly end. He was directly responsible for countless deaths, both within the cartel and outside of it. His reign of terror left a trail of bloodshed. Governments and rival cartels alike placed a target on his back. His growing power made him a prime target for law enforcement and competitors. El Chapo's cunning extended beyond drug trafficking. He was adept at manipulating people and situations to his advantage. He understood the importance of cultivating relationships with corrupt officials, politicians, and law enforcement. These alliances were crucial for his operations. These relationships provided him with protection and allowed him to operate with a level of impunity. His network of safe houses and informants kept him one step ahead. This made him incredibly difficult to capture and further solidified his image as an almost mythical figure. His escapes from prison only added to his legend. El Chapo became a symbol of the cartel's power, both feared and admired. His influence extended far beyond the borders of Mexico. His life, a blend of ambition, violence, and audacious escapes, would become the subject of countless books, documentaries, and even a popular Netflix series, cementing his place in criminal history. His story captivated the world. He would forever be linked to the Sinaloa cartel, his name synonymous with its reign of terror and its vast influence. His legacy is a complex one, marked by both fear and fascination. But even as El Chapo's legend grew, so too did the seeds of his eventual downfall. His capture marked the end of an era, but his impact on the world of drug trafficking remains indelible. Under El Chapo's leadership, the Sinaloa cartel expanded its operations far beyond Sinaloa's borders, transforming from a regional power into a global criminal empire. The cartel forged alliances with other criminal organizations, both domestically and internationally, creating a vast network of illicit partnerships. This allowed them to control vast swaths of territory and expand their influence globally, reaching into new markets and establishing a formidable presence. They became major players in the global drug trade, with networks reaching Europe, Asia, and beyond, making them a significant force in the international narcotics market. This expansion was not without its challenges, as the cartel faced numerous obstacles and threats to its dominance. The cartel became embroiled in bloody conflicts with rival groups, most notably the Tijuana cartel and the Gulf cartel, leading to violent confrontations. These narco wars claimed thousands of lives and destabilized entire regions of Mexico, leaving a trail of devastation and grief. The cartel's use of extreme violence became a hallmark of its operations, instilling fear and asserting control. They were not afraid to use beheadings, kidnappings, and mass killings to intimidate their rivals and maintain their grip on power, showcasing their ruthless tactics. One of the key figures in the cartel's expansion was Ismael El Mayo Zambada, a mastermind behind many of their strategic moves. A shadowy figure, El Mayo was known for his low profile and strategic brilliance, often staying out of the public eye. He became El Chapo's right-hand man, playing a crucial role in the cartel's operations and its ability to evade law enforcement, ensuring their continued success. While El Chapo was the cartel's public face, El Mayo preferred to operate in the shadows, pulling the strings from behind the scenes, orchestrating their moves. El Mayo's influence extended deep within the Mexican government, where he wielded significant power. He cultivated relationships with corrupt officials, providing him with valuable intelligence and protection, which were crucial for the cartel's operations. This allowed the cartel to stay one step ahead of the authorities and maintain its grip on power, avoiding numerous crackdowns. His strategic acumen and ability to forge alliances were essential to the cartel's survival, particularly during times of intense conflict and pressure. The Sinaloa cartel's expansion was a testament to the ambition and ruthlessness of its leaders, who were relentless in their pursuit of power. They were willing to use any means necessary to achieve their goals, regardless of the cost, demonstrating their unyielding determination. This period of expansion would cement the cartel's position as a dominant force in the global drug trade, solidifying their influence and reach. However, it also sowed the seeds of future conflicts and brought increased scrutiny from law enforcement agencies worldwide, setting the stage for ongoing battles. The Sinaloa cartel's ambition extended beyond drug trafficking. To maximize profits and consolidate power, the cartel diversified its criminal portfolio. This diversification was driven by both opportunity and necessity. As law enforcement agencies cracked down on drug trafficking, the cartel sought alternative sources of revenue. They also exploited existing criminal markets to increase their influence and control over territory. The cartel became involved in a wide range of illicit activities including extortion, kidnapping, human trafficking, and money laundering. They preyed on businesses and individuals alike, extorting money through threats of violence. Kidnapping became a lucrative business, with ransoms often reaching millions of dollars. The cartel's involvement in human trafficking was particularly abhorrent. They exploited vulnerable migrants desperate to reach the United States, smuggling them across the border in inhumane conditions. Many of these migrants were forced into prostitution or other forms of forced labor. The cartel's disregard for human life was evident in their willingness to profit from the suffering of others. Money laundering was crucial to the cartel's operations. They needed to clean their illicit profits and integrate them into the legitimate economy. They used a complex network of businesses, shell companies, and corrupt officials to move their money around the world, making it difficult for authorities to track. This allowed them to reinvest their profits in their criminal enterprises and further expand their influence. The Sinaloa cartel's diversification into these illicit activities had a devastating impact on Mexican society. It fueled violence, corruption, and instability, undermining the rule of law and terrorizing communities. The cartel's reach extended into every corner of Mexican life, from the highest levels of government to the most vulnerable members of society. Their criminal empire, built on a foundation of violence and exploitation, seemed almost unstoppable. Chiapas, a name synonymous with lush rainforests, ancient Mayan ruins, and vibrant indigenous cultures. This region, rich in history and natural beauty, is a testament to the enduring legacy of the Mayan civilization. The dense jungles and towering ruins tell stories of a time long past, while the indigenous people, adorned in traditional clothing, keep their heritage alive through rituals, crafts, and daily life. But beneath this idyllic facade lies a darker reality. The serene landscapes and cultural vibrancy mask a history of conflict and turmoil that has shaped the region in profound ways. Chiapas, for decades, has been a battleground for a different kind of power struggle: the Mexican drug war. This war, fought in the shadows, has left an indelible mark on the land and its people. The echoes of gunfire and the presence of armed soldiers are stark reminders of the ongoing conflict. The state's southern border, a porous jungle frontier with Guatemala, became a gateway for the drug trade. This dense, impenetrable forest provided the perfect cover for illicit activities, making it a hotbed for smuggling operations. Here, amidst the shadows of the jungle, the Chiapas cartel rose to prominence. Hidden from the prying eyes of authorities, the cartel established secret encampments and pathways, weaving a network of power and influence that extended far beyond the jungle. The cartel's story is one of ambition, violence, and corruption. Their rise to power was marked by brutal confrontations and a willingness to do whatever it took to maintain control. Corruption seeped into every level of society, from local officials to law enforcement, creating a web of deceit and betrayal. It's a tale woven into the very fabric of Chiapas, leaving an indelible mark on its people and its landscape. Villages once known for their tranquility now bear the scars of conflict. The people of Chiapas, resilient yet weary, live with the constant threat of violence and the memories of lost loved ones. The cartel's rise to power is a stark reminder of the insidious reach of the drug trade and its devastating impact on even the most idyllic corners of the world. The once peaceful rural areas have become battlegrounds, with drug busts and violent clashes becoming a part of daily life. The story of the Chiapas cartel is not just about drugs. It's about the complex power dynamics that drive the conflict. The leaders of the cartel, often seen as shadowy figures, wield immense power and influence, shaping the fate of entire communities. It's about power, betrayal, and the fight for control in a land where the lines between right and wrong are often blurred. The struggle for dominance has led to countless betrayals, with former allies turning against each other in a bid for control. Local authorities, caught in the crossfire, face impossible choices, often forced to navigate a murky moral landscape. It's a story that takes us deep into the heart of Mexico's underworld, exposing the human cost of this brutal conflict. The emotional toll on the people of Chiapas is immense, with families torn apart and communities left in ruins. Through their stories, we gain a deeper understanding of the true impact of the drug war, far beyond the headlines and statistics. The arrival of Rafael El Lobo Martinez on the scene in the early 1990s marked a turning point in the Chiapas cartel's history. Before his rise, The cartel was a loosely organized group struggling to find its footing in the chaotic world of the Mexican drug trade. El Lobo's entry brought a new level of organization and strategic thinking that would change everything. A ruthless and ambitious leader, El Lobo possessed a natural charisma that drew recruits to his banner. His ability to inspire loyalty and fear in equal measure made him a formidable figure. He wasn't just a leader, he was a symbol of power and authority, someone who could command respect and obedience with just a glance. He understood that to compete in the cutthroat world of the Mexican drug trade, the Chiapas cartel needed to expand its operations and assert its dominance. This meant not only increasing their territory but also diversifying their activities to stay ahead of rivals. El Lobo's strategic mind was always at work, plotting the next move to outmaneuver competitors. El Lobo recognized the shifting dynamics of the drug market. He knew that staying ahead required constant vigilance and adaptation. The drug trade was evolving, and so too must the Chiapas cartel. He spent countless hours studying market trends, understanding the ebb and flow of supply and demand, and predicting future shifts. Cocaine was still king, but demand for heroin and methamphetamine was on the rise. El Lobo saw this as an opportunity to diversify the cartel's portfolio. By investing in the production and distribution of these drugs, he ensured that the cartel could capitalize on emerging markets and maximize profits. He invested heavily in establishing new trafficking routes and forging alliances with Colombian cartels to secure a steady supply of cocaine. These alliances were crucial, as they provided the Chiapas cartel with the resources and connections needed to dominate the drug trade. El Lobo's diplomatic skills were as sharp as his strategic mind, allowing him to negotiate deals that benefited the cartel immensely. Under his leadership, the Chiapas cartel transformed from a ragtag band of smugglers into a sophisticated criminal organization. This transformation was not just about expanding operations. It was about professionalizing every aspect of the cartel's activities. From logistics to finance, El Lobo implemented systems and structures that made the cartel more efficient and effective. El Lobo's ruthlessness was legendary. He was known for his uncompromising approach to leadership and his willingness to do whatever it took to maintain control. His reputation for brutality was well earned, and it served as a powerful deterrent to anyone who might challenge his authority. He ruled through fear and intimidation, eliminating rivals and consolidating his power. His methods were often violent, but they were effective. By removing threats and instilling fear, he ensured that his position at the top remained unchallenged. His enemies knew that crossing El Lobo meant certain death. He understood that violence was not just a means to an end, but a language that spoke volumes in the drug trade. Acts of violence were messages, warnings to others about the consequences of defiance. El Lobo used violence strategically, not just to eliminate threats, but to send clear signals to allies and enemies alike. He ensured his dominance over the cartel and instilled fear in his enemies. His presence alone was enough to command respect and obedience. Under his watchful eye, the Chiapas cartel grew stronger and more influential, becoming a force to be reckoned with in the Mexican drug trade. El Lobo's legacy was one of power, fear, and unyielding control. The Chiapas cartel, under El Lobo's leadership, diversified its criminal portfolio. The cartel's tentacles reached far beyond drug trafficking, extending into extortion, kidnapping, human trafficking, and illegal logging. They preyed on local businesses, demanding protection money and terrorizing those who refused. The cartel's involvement in illegal logging proved particularly lucrative. Chiapas, with its rich forests, became a prime target. The cartel's control over these illegal activities allowed them to amass wealth and influence, further tightening their grip on the region. They operated with impunity, often bribing or threatening local officials who dared to interfere. The cartel's criminal reach extended deep into the fabric of Chiapas society. They infiltrated local governments, police forces, and even indigenous communities. This corruption eroded the rule of law and created a climate of fear and impunity. The line between the cartel and the state became increasingly blurred, making it nearly impossible to distinguish between criminals and those tasked with upholding the law. The stench hit them first, a fetid metallic odor that spoke of death. Police officers, responding to an anonymous tip, cautiously approached the dump truck abandoned near La Concordia, Chiapas. Nothing could have prepared them for the gruesome sight that awaited. Heaped inside the truck's bed like discarded refuse lay 19 bodies, all men, all riddled with bullets. The victims, many bearing tattoos signifying cartel affiliation, were grim reminders of the brutal drug war ravaging Mexico. This wasn't just murder, it was a message. The discovery sent shockwaves through Chiapas. Once a haven of natural beauty, the state was now stained with the blood of cartel violence. The dump truck, a macabre symbol of the carnage, became a chilling testament to the cartel's ruthlessness. This wasn't just another statistic in Mexico's long and bloody drug war. This was a terrifying escalation. The cartels were sending a message: no one was safe. The massacre in Chiapas was more than just a random act of violence. It was a strategic strike in a brutal turf war. Two powerful cartels, the Sinaloa cartel and the Chiapas and Guatemala cartel, were vying for control of lucrative smuggling routes. Chiapas, bordering Guatemala, was a strategic prize. It was a gateway for drugs, weapons, and human cargo flowing north to the United States. The Sinaloa cartel, infamous for its reach and brutality, wanted it all. But the Chiapas and Guatemala cartel, a formidable force in its own right, refused to yield. The result was a bloodbath. Both cartels engaged in a brutal campaign of terror and intimidation. Life in Chiapas was once defined by its vibrant culture and stunning natural beauty. Now, fear was the prevailing emotion. The cartel's grip on the region tightened, casting a long shadow over everyday life. Farmers, once proud stewards of the land, were afraid to tend their fields. Shopkeepers, who once greeted customers with warm smiles, now peered suspiciously from behind barred windows. Children, robbed of their innocence, no longer played in the streets. The cartel's reign of terror had a devastating impact on the local economy. Tourism, once a lifeline for many communities, dried up. Investment fled. Chiapas, once a beacon of hope, was sinking deeper into despair. The Mexican government's response was woefully inadequate. Military deployments brought temporary relief but failed to address the root causes of the violence. Corruption was rampant. Impunity reigned. The people of Chiapas felt abandoned, left to fend for themselves against a seemingly invincible enemy.